There we go. Hi, welcome to the Winter Club first project, which is the Flower Pocket Pincushion. It's from the book Weekend Sewing by Annie's Sewing. If you have the bag from Renee that has this book in it and some other goodies for you. So we're doing the first project, which is this darling little pincushion. And this pincushion has a pocket that you can put scissors in. If you can, oh, there. So you can put your little pair of scissors in there. You could put measuring tape in there. You can put floss in there. You can put needle pack, whatever you want. It's a nice gift for somebody, and it doesn't take very long to make. So you follow the directions. You cut out the pieces, the sizes that it tells you. I did not change that at all. You need a piece of fabric for the pillow part, which is the actual pincushion. You need a piece of fabric for the pocket, and then you need fabric for the flower petals, and then you need fabric for the stem and the leaf. You also need, put some stuff down here, scrap batting. This batting I trimmed off of a quilt. It's very nice and thin, and it's a good batting. It's probably an 80-20 from Quilter's Dream. This is the Hotfix, and you got a piece of this in your club bag, and that's what I used to trace in the book. She gives you the template. So what you need to do is you need to trace a leaf, which is right here. Now, when you look at Hotfix, one side of it is a little duller than the other. This is shiny and slippery. You want to put the shiny, slippery side against your pattern, and then you're going to use your pencil, and you're just going to trace around it. Then you take that, and you don't cut it out yet. You leave it just like you traced it, and then you iron it to the wrong side of your fabric. Make sure that you put that on the wrong side. Okay, for that stem, I did not trace the stem. I just made sure that I had a big enough piece of the green fabric with the Hotfix on the back of it. Excuse me, measured the stem and then cut it out using a ruler. So I have my leaf, I have my stem. Now I'm going to show you how to do these petals easily. She doesn't tell you. She has you do it a little bit different, trace each one, which would make you crazy doing that. This is freezer paper. This comes from, it's quilt shop freezer paper. So this isn't stuff that you rip off the roll and wrap the hamburger in. This is good freezer paper. And again, it has a dull side and it has a shiny side. So what I did was I took a strip of that freezer paper, and in the book, again, they give you a template right here for your petal. So you lay your freezer paper, and I laid the straight edge right on the straight edge of the petal, so that's one less line you have to draw. And because you have to do 6 of them, if you fold them like you're making snowflakes or paper doll or something like that, so there's 3 pieces here. So then what I would do is I would take my scissors that I keep hiding. So I would take those scissors and then I would cut out all 3 at the same time. Oops, that was my finger. So I would cut out all 3 at the same time, okay? And then I would repeat that process and cut out 3 more. So now I have the 6 petals which I need to make this cute little flower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then, this is the cool part. So you take another little piece of this thin batting. So here's my thin batting. Here's my flower petal fabric, and I have that right sides together. So I folded that right sides together. I took the pattern that I traced onto my freezer paper, and I ironed it to the wrong side of the fabric part. So the batting is on the back, and then I have 2 pieces of fabric, right sides together. Then you're going to stitch around that. Drop your stitch length down again so that you have about 18 to 20 stitches per inch. That's two reasons. You're putting a lot of, you're putting a lot of stress on this petal when you turn it. And it's much easier to go around a curve with small stitches than to go around a curve with longer stitches. So you can see that I stitched it, and then I'm going to cut that out, and I'll finish cutting that out because I want to show you. You're going to love this part, I'm telling you. You're going to say that Sharon is just amazing. Okay, so cut that off. Across the bottom, I'm going to cut straight. I don't need that. Okay, so now I have it all cut out. I'm going to peel that freezer paper off. Freezer paper off. Now comes the part where you're like, great, how in the heck am I going to turn that right side out? Because you can't get your finger in there. So that's when the hemostat comes to the rescue. Take your hemostat, open it up, put it in between the two layers of fabric, and then push down on the top and push the top of that petal into the hemostat and close it. Then you're going to take and you're going to pull that right over so that the hemostat's got the top of the petal. You didn't have to get cramps in your fingers trying to turn this. Okay, so I turned it right side out. Fun. Unhemostat it. Put that back in there, and then you can use that hemostat to gently push that out. Is that cool or what? A petal.
Yay.
Yay. And so you can do 6 of those quite easily. Okay? You need to do 6. Then follow the directions in the book. I didn't do anything different for that. So let me show you, I told you about the Hotfix. Now, this company claims that you do not have to stitch around this, that you can just iron it, and it will stay. You don't have to worry about the edges fraying. Now, this little guy has been handled. All I did was iron it. I did not stitch around it. So in the directions, she has you, make your pocket and put these pieces on. If you would like, you may stitch around it. You can use a blanket stitch. You can use a satin stitch. You can use a straight stitch. You could put a vein in it. You could get as fancy as you want. But I'm thinking if I'm going to give these to 72 of my closest friends, that I'm not going to want to put too much work in them, and they're still cute. So follow the directions. She tells you how to sew the petals together. Very easy. You just run a gathering stitch through them, pull them up, tie it off real good, and be sure that you use a heavy thread and 2 strands of it. So don't get out the embroidery floss for this, because that's about your weakest thread. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is how I stuffed this. And what I did was I had 2 pieces of batting, cut the same size that she tells you to cut the pillow part of the pincushion. I sewed it together with a 1/4 inch seam. I left an opening right here. Now I'm just going to reach in and turn this right side out.
You could use your hemostats again.
You could use the hemostat again if thou would like to. Stuffed many a wound with a hemostat. So there we go. So you can poke out your corners. This is nice because the tip is blunt. You're not poking it out with something sharp, or if you have a point turner, use that. So poke this all out. You don't have to get too fancy with it, but you want it turned. Now, this comes the fun part. I don't have one of these pillows made again, but what you do is, you have to leave an opening in this pillow in order for you to put the stuffing in. So what you do is you take and match the opening of the little batting pillow that you made with the opening that you left when you sewed your pillow together. Again, you're going to have everything turned right side out. You're ready to stuff it. So what you do is you just take this and slide it in first, okay? So now it's inside your little pillow here. Then you take, oh, I forgot to tell you, you have to have some of this too, fiber fill. Then you're just going to take some of this. This is fun to do when you're sitting in front of the TV. So remember, this is already in the pillow. Don't stuff this and try to get it in the pillow. It's just easier to put this guy in first. And then just fill it full of stuffing. As much as you like. Just keep cramming it in there. And pretty soon, you have this. You have a little stuffed pillow. And Renee even remarked how smooth this is. Not lumpy bumpy. Very easy to do. You don't have fiber fill sticking all out on the outside that you have to somehow get inside the pillow, because this seems to capture it. It's almost like a magnet, this little batting pocket. Now I'm going to show you how to do this guy, which I think makes this little flower. So I took a piece of this plaid fabric and I covered a button with it. So in the kit that you buy, and you need the kit. You can buy just refills, but for the first time you need a kit. And in the kit you get a little cup. It's a little rubbery cup. You get a pusher, a little blue pusher that pushes down into that cup. And you get, if you cut it off of the back, now I ripped off the back of this, and this is the template that they give you for the size of the piece of fabric that you need to cut for the button. So I have a little square of fabric. What I did was I traced my template onto that fabric, and then you're going to cut it out on the traced line. I suppose you could fold this in half and do it quicker. Okay, so once you get your little piece of fabric cut out, then this is what you do. And Renee probably going to have to come a little bit, well, maybe I can do it right here. Let me get this stuff out of the way. So again, you have this little cup, you have the pusher, and out of the kit you're going to get the actual button back, which has a little shank on it. And then this is the button front. This happens to be 3/4 inch. I think they might have asked for something different. Lay your piece of fabric that you cut over the little cup. So here you have the cup. The directions do come with the kit. Then I take the little pusher guy and I push this fabric down in here for kind of a trial run. And why I do that is so that it seems like I needed to trim this. I don't know if I cut the template too big or what, but I didn't want a lot of excess. I need grippers. There we go. So I have that in this little cup, pushed down, and you can see it. That's what your button is going to look like. But I have a little too much. Can you see I have a little too much here on this part? So I'm going to take my handy dandy scissors and I'm going to trim that off. Just a little. Don't get too carried away, because then you don't have enough to go over the button. So I'm going to trim that off. Then the next thing that I do is make sure that I don't have any big pleats. So what I mean by a big pleat is right here is a big pleat, and right here is a big pleat. That's a little bit too big. So you take your little fingers or the tip of the scissors, and you're going to spread that out a little bit so that you don't have that big pleat. Okay, that helps. Spread that out a little bit. Then you take the button part, the smooth part. You're going to put that in there. Get in there, you little bugger. They're fussy, but I think they're worth it. The bigger ones are easier to do than the smaller ones, I think. So you're going to put that, and you want to make sure that the fabric is, good catch, Sharon. out, okay? But you've already got kind of a indentation here. So take your button, put it there, push it down, use this little guy to push it down even better. Make sure that it looks like that, kind of smooth, and it's all the way down, all the way around. So see, it's up here a little bit. Make sure it's down all the way. Then just take and fold that excess fabric over. So I got some excess fabric here that I folded over. Fold that over. Now you need to take the shank part, put that on the top. Now, when you put that on, let me show you here. Try to get it as even as possible. Because if you don't, when you go to push it down, it won't actually go in. So I have that on there. Then you take your little pusher guy. It did it. It'll go click, and you go, oh, good. Okay, so, and then you just pop it out. You have a button.
Oh, how cute. Whoops. It's
just cover that button.
covered button.
Oh, but that part, cut it too short. Okay. You could actually glue that. You have a covered button. Okay, if you have any questions, again, you have my email, you have Renee's email. The directions are in the book. They're very well written. The only thing that she has you cut a 5x10 piece of batting. I wasn't sure what that was for. I didn't know if, because this thing for your 6 petals is only a 5-inch square. So why she had you cut such a big, I certainly would not double the batting. Single was enough. So that's a 5-inch square of batting that I cut, not a 5x10. And then the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye. Crap, I cut my button too short.